Hello, my name is Corwin Parker. I'm currently a doctoral student majoring in history at Liberty University. Today, I wanted to talk about Boko Haram. I'm interested in this subject matter due to my interest in global events as well as non-Western history. Now, to give you some context, the research question that I explored is despite having strategic and competitive advantages within the Sahelian region of northern Nigeria and its surroundings, why is it that oppositional forces to Boko Haram have been successful in curtailing their terrorist activities? In order to discern or to answer this research question, I largely explored newspapers and online feeds and news releases as primary sources, and of course, buttress this information with secondary research. Now, essentially, in answering this question, you need to trace the philosophical origins of Boko Haram before, or at least prior to colonialism, to the Sokoto Caliphate. Now, after colonialism and Nigeria achieving its sovereignty and independence, they attempted to foment a national culture. Now, in 1970, you had an individual by the name of Mohammed Yusuf, who was born in 1970, of course, and then migrated with his family to the northern Nigerian town of Maiduguri, which is in the Borno State. Now, in the interim, during the 1980s and 1990s, you began to have basically under a new constitution, a movement fomenting to see if these northern states, these remnants of these Islamic empires prior to colonialism, attempting to see if they could enact and infuse Sharia into the local state law. Mohammed Yusuf fell under the wing of a Medina educated preacher by the name of Jafar Adam. Mohammed Yusuf started out as a youth group leader and became excessively popular due to his local preaching, so much so that he developed followers and founded his own mosque in Maiduguri. Ultimately, his followers began to be radicalized in the early 21st century and began to carry out strikes, particularly his hardline lieutenants leaving Maiduguri to attack local villages to impose their philosophy. With the assassination of Jafar Adam in 2007, Muhammad Yusuf and his followers were firmly radicalized, and Boko Haram began to engage in numerous assaults and terroristic attacks. Boko Haram came to the national or international fore with the April 2014 kidnapping of over 200 girls from a boarding school in the town of Chibok. Boko Haram's philosophy is staunchly anti-education and women's rights, particularly Western education. But because this event brought so much international prominence, you began to have counterinsurgency basically techniques and strategies flow into the area. First and foremost, international powers such as the United States, but also China as well as Pakistan, sold airplanes to Nigeria in order to conduct airstrikes. Also, Nigeria's military was relatively ineffective in counteracting Boko Haram in northern Nigeria, but neighboring Chad was particularly adept in fighting in this semi-desert climate. So even with the negligence of Nigeria, Chad was able to come in and basically beat back Boko Haram. Also, civilians rose to counteract Boko Haram in the form of vigilante squads. So as it stands today, effectively you have a higher level of sophistication in counteracting Boko Haram and their terrorist strikes. So much so, you have models that are able to predict where and when Boko Haram will strike next. So future research will be involving whether or not these models and algorithmic techniques can effectively be so proactive that they prevent future Boko Haram jihadist strikes. Thank you so much for watching this video and reading this paper, and I look forward to engaging you soon.